Your top stories this evening, sponsored by Courts, bringing value home. Several decline position of presiding officer. GECOM says it is not worried. PPPC's presidential candidate desperately begs the electorate for a second chance in 2025 elections. Any attempt to disrupt elections will be dealt with swiftly, says Top Cop. And High Court ruling in the case brought by Forward Guyana Movement against GECOM set for Friday. HGP Nightly News begins now. Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. I'm Travis Chase with the Wednesday, August 27 edition of the HGP Nightly News. Here's what you need to know this evening. Fearing the worst. Some persons trained by the Guyana Elections Commission as presiding officers are now declining the position. The Guyana Elections Commission, though, does not seem bothered. Here is more. There is word from the Chief Elections Officer of the Guyana Elections Commission that they have encountered yet another stumbling block regarding polling their staff. Chief Elections Officer Vishnu Prasad revealed that some persons are declining the position of presiding officer.
We have encountered some issues wherein some persons who have been identified based on having met the criteria for appointment to the different areas, presiding officer, assistant presiding officer. We have found that some persons are declining the appointment as presiding officers.
Nightly News was reliably informed that many of those who have declined the position of presiding officers are mindful of the criminal charges that were handed down to several GECOM staff following the 2020 elections. The Chief Elections Officer said GECOM is now hunting for presiding officers for some districts.
This has now resulted in us having to seek replacement. The replacement, one might feel that it should have been automatic in that the assistant presiding officer will assume that role, not necessarily so.
The CEO assured that polling day staff are being shuffled between polling stations to ensure all locations are adequately manned.
We are trying to move our personnel across polling stations to ensure that we can satisfy the human resource need to ensure that polling stations are adequately manned on election day.
The Chief Elections Officer could not immediately say how many persons have declined such positions and how the Guyana Elections Commission will be affected.
I'm not concerned that we will not be able to do this in a manner that will affect the operations of polling day, of elections day.
Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. The People's Progressive Party's presidential candidate and Guyana's sitting president Irfan Ali on Tuesday night at a political rally in Eccles on the east bank of Demerara begged and pleaded with his supporters and the electorate not to vote out of spite. Marvin Cato reports.
Cognizant of the ills in the society being exposed by all parties challenging the incumbent at this year's general and regional election, President Irfan Ali at a rally Tuesday night in Eccles, almost in anguish, begged and pleaded with electors far and wide to stay the course with the People's Progressive Party PPPC.
Do not mess this up. This is not the time for experiments. This is not the time to gamble with your future. This is not the time when you weaponize your vote.
Even as President Ali continues his plea with the electorate, and the fact that he used the words "take out spite" implicitly suggests that all is not well with the citizenry with regards to how they feel about the track record of the administration's performance.
This is not the time to use your vote to take out spite on some local person, some NDC or anything.
The president on the campaign trail is encouraging the electorate to specifically focus, in his view, on the massive infrastructural development as the main reason for his re-election.
We will be making the final pour for the bridge that they doubted we could have gotten done. and tomorrow we will cut the ribbon open for the new Marriott Hotel and Airport.
Guyanese go to the polls on September 1, which is a mere 5 days away in what is categorized as one of the most consequential elections in Guyana's history. This is Marvin Cato reporting for HGP Nightly News.
With days to go before Guyanese head to the polls in what is being described as one of the most consequential elections to date, the Commissioner of Police is assuring the nation that the Guyana Police Force is fully prepared to maintain law and order and will safeguard citizens' right to vote. Find out more from Tiana Cole.
As Guyanese prepare to cast their votes in the general and regional elections, Commissioner of Police Clifton HICKEN has assured the public that the Guyana Police Force GPF will uphold law and order, ensuring that every citizen can exercise their right to vote without fear or disruption. HICKEN said this election marks an important moment for Guyana and an opportunity to show the world that the country is peaceful, respectful, and united.
Guyana Police Force is responsible for internal security and is fully prepared for the elections.
Against this backdrop, he explained that the police ranks will be strategically deployed across all 10 administrative regions and the 12 policing divisions. Their presence, he stressed, is not to interfere in the process, but to protect citizens' constitutional rights to participate peacefully and safely.
The role of the Guyana Police Force is to maintain order and ensure that every citizen can do so without fear or disruption.
HICKEN further indicated that the force is trained, prepared, and committed to treating all citizens fairly.
Now, let it be clearly understood. Any attempt to create disorder, intimidate others, or break the law will be dealt with swiftly and decisively.
The Commissioner also pointed out that in recent years, Guyana has made significant strides in building a safer and more orderly society, and those gains must be protected during this electoral period.
Respect your fellow citizens. Carry yourself with pride as a Guyanese. Together, let's safeguard the peace before, during, and after elections.
Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Thank you, Tiana, for your reporting. Stay with us. There is more news ahead. Welcome back to the HGP Nightly News. We tell you now that serious doubts are being cast over the integrity of the upcoming elections. Alliance for Change leader Nigel Hughes says the Guyana Elections Commission is unprepared, pointing to unresolved ballot issues that could further undermine public trust in the system. Tiana Cole is on this story.
Alliance for Change AFC leader Nigel Hughes says the Guyana Elections Commission GECOM is not ready for the upcoming general and regional elections. His remarks came after the commission was unable to explain or reconcile how a ballot ended up in a box where it should not have been.
And that's happening with a very small sample, 10,000 votes out of potentially 730-something thousand votes. And if GECOM themselves say they can't explain that, and this has to do with their IT department and the production of information by the IT department, then we are in exceedingly dangerous waters.
He added that while one political party has already declared it will not accept any form of misconduct, the Vice President has stated that the Joint Security Services are fully prepared to prevent disruptions during and after the elections.
So how is Guyana going to deal with clear electoral issues the GECOM says it can't explain in their own system? All of this is leading, unfortunately, to a place where the country will be in turmoil.
Hughes stressed that because those directly responsible for giving orders to law enforcement already hold a position, there is justifiable suspicion about interference in the system, a situation, he says, will not end well.
The Alliance for Change, as always, remains very confident in its people. We believe the citizenry must be afforded an opportunity not only to express their views, but to have those fairly counted in a system that's trustworthy.
Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Antonio Day tells us now that despite large sums of money being expended on the $15.9 billion government office complex in Eccles on the east bank of Demerara, to date, the project is far from completion. This was highlighted by Ganesh Mahipal, a former member of parliament and the vice presidential candidate for the Partnership for National Unity.
Our concern is after $8.6 billion, this is the current state of the project.
That was Ganesh Maipal, former Member of Parliament and Vice Presidential candidate for the Partnership for National Unity, highlighting the $15.9 billion government office complex in ECHO's East Bank Demerara. Nightly News ascertained that the $15.9 billion government office complex in ECHO's East Bank Demerara comprises of 4 12-story office towers, accommodating around 6,000 government employees. In the 2022 budget, $2.6 billion was allocated as a mobilization advance to the contractor, Caribbean Green Building Inc., to facilitate the construction of the office towers, geotechnical studies and designs. According to the 2024 budget estimates, a total of $6.69 billion was budgeted for the project, with $2.65 billion spent in 2022 and $4.04 billion in 2023. An additional $1 billion was allocated in 2024 and 2025 respectively towards the project. Based on details released by the Department of Public Information, the project, which is funded by the government, is 10% complete. 34% of the project timeline has elapsed. Maipal, visibly concerned about the project's thoughtfulness, said that the complex is a waste of taxpayers' money.
It is by us not wasting money on projects like these that cannot be completed in a timely manner that is costing taxpayers more dollars.
The former Member of Parliament claimed that this project is mired in corruption.
And look at the state of it. If this is not corruption, then you tell me what is.
Ganesh, I am happy that I was there when the Honorable Minister, when Ejel was asked several times about this project, and he kept maintaining that mobilization is being done off-site. Now, you can't mobilize the foundation and so on off-site.
Nightly News visited the location and observed that the geotechnical investigations for Towers 1 to 3 have been completed, and Tower 4 is ongoing. The construction commenced on February 23, 2024, but according to a source, the completion date of the project is now August 24, 2026. Antonio De reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
You need to know that Acting Chief Justice Navindra Singh will hand down his ruling on Friday in the case brought by Forward Guyana Movement, challenging the Guyana Elections Commission, excluding that party's participation in 3 of Guyana's 10 administrative regions. Here's Marvin Cato.
Submissions wrapped up early Wednesday morning in the Forward Guyana Movement FGM's case against the Guyana Elections Commission. FGM's attorney, Dr. Vivian Williams, in his closing arguments, pointed out that he deemed as a flagrant disregard by GECOM in depriving electors in geographic locations 7, 8, and 9 from casting their vote in favor of FGM.
The case really says about citizens' participation in the democratic process. The case is brought by an individual that is contending that the right to vote has been sort of diluted.
Attorney General Annandale, who is representing the state, pointed out that Dr. Williams was intent on leading the court down a dark road as he raised several objections during Dr. Williams' closing arguments.
So unfortunately, when he did so this morning, he introduced into the case some new and additional submissions and some variations.
Outside the courtroom, GECOM's lawyer made it clear that the case is a simple one, in which the Representation of the People's Act (ROPA) was explicitly followed by the Commission. He contends that, like the AG, FGM determined that it would only participate in 7 geographic regions when it made its submissions to GECOM on nomination day.
Guyana does not have elections. You have a general election, and law provides that on the date of the general election, the president announced after the first election of the councils of regional democratic council, that for each geographic constituency, it must contain the list of political parties contesting. Contesting can only mean the parties who have submitted this to that region for that geographic constituency.
Acting Chief Justice Navindra Singh adjourned the matter to Friday, where he intends to give his ruling on the matter. This is Marvin Cato reporting for HGP Nightly News.
Thank you, Marvin. Stay with us. There is more news ahead. This is the HGP Nightly News. Welcome back. A family in Parfait Harmony is demanding justice, not only for the death of their loved one, but also for what they describe as poor medical treatment received at the West Demerara Regional Hospital. The relatives of security guard Jason Oren Pilgrim says negligence contributed to his passing, and they're now preparing to take legal action. Jada June reports.
The family of 51-year-old security guard Jason Oren Pilgrim says they will be filing a lawsuit against the West Demerara Regional Hospital for alleged medical malpractice following his death just over a week.
Jason, he was all-rounder in jobs. He was a security at sheriff, and he did mason work. Also, he was a taxi driver.
Pilgrim died on August 18 around 2:45 a.m. from multiple injuries, and an autopsy later classified the case as a homicide. However, his relatives insist that the hospital's treatment fell far below standards and may have worsened his condition.
Lane came out from there. I asked her. Before I asked her, she said that they don't have nothing to look at him. They don't have an X-ray, is not working. The CT scan is not working. And they do not have anything to cast his feet.
Pilgrim's mother recalled that even though he was critically injured, the ambulance made stops at Lenora to pick up another person and described the delay as life-threatening.
While going down to the Kendron Hospital, the ambulance stopped at Lenora to pick up somebody. I don't know if it's his girlfriend or who to him.
The family claims he was poorly sutured after surgery, with flesh still visibly exposed. The mother also claimed that the machines were not functioning.
They took him to the CT scan. They had a little problem and a delay in doing it. And he was crying out for pain all the time. He was alive from the time they picked him up from the accident. No doctor didn't come. I spoke to the nurse, and the nurse said they're going to strap back his hair. They didn't do it.
Relatives further alleged that a misspelled name on the blood test prevented doctors from completing critical follow-up tests. They also said repeated requests to have Pilgrim transferred to the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation were denied. According to them, hospital staff stated that he could only be moved if they arranged transportation themselves, despite ambulances being on site.
They did not. They give my son no treatment. Not even they say you have to get blood. They did not do nothing to give him blood nor saline.
After Pilgrim's death, the family said medical staff rushed to bring oxygen tanks, but by then it was too late. They also rejected claims that poisoning played a role.
To say that he get poison to his lungs, but when we did the postmortem, it's nothing of the sort.
The family has since reported the matter and intends to pursue a medical malpractice lawsuit against the West Demerara Regional Hospital, claiming neglect and poor standards of care. Police investigations into the homicide remains active.
I need them to investigate into the matter, and I need justice for my son's death.
When Nightly News contacted the RHO for a comment on the matter, we were told that the medical superintendent is the person to speak on the matter. Contact was made with Dr. Hassan, who related that she no longer holds that position. Nightly News was reliably informed that she was transferred to a newly commissioned $6.6 billion Kendron Regional Hospital. Jada June reported for HGP Nightly News.
It is the view of Education Minister Priya Manik-Chand that education in Guyana has seen remarkable strides over the past 4 years, and according to her, government will not be slowing down.
Minister of Education Priya Manik-Chand has highlighted the historic achievements of the education sector over the last 4 years while unveiling her ministry's strategic plans for the period 2025 to 2030. She noted that significant progress has already been made in areas such as school infrastructure, curriculum development, teacher training, and expanded access to technology for students nationwide. These achievements, she said, have laid the foundation for what comes next.
Constant training and retraining has to happen, and that has to be informed by measurement and evaluation that was sensibly done.
Looking ahead, The minister outlined a comprehensive roadmap aimed at modernizing education and preparing Guyana's youth for a rapidly changing world.
We have to incorporate the use of technology, the use of AI into our classrooms to get results, to get children more individualized learning, to determine better what each child is good at and maybe weak at, and how to strengthen that or how to channel that goodness into making it a super talent.
Minister Manik Chand emphasized that the government's vision for education is closely tied to Guyana's sustainable development goals, stating that the ministry is preparing the next generation not only to succeed academically, but to lead Guyana responsibly and sustainably.
We're at the stage where all our schools will have all our high schools for sure, are going to have technology infused into the classroom. We are already at a place where many of our schools already have each classroom with smart boards in them and internet.
Key priorities include universal access to education, ensuring every child from nursery to secondary has equal access to quality education, updating programs to emphasize critical thinking, digital literacy, and climate resilience. Expanding training initiatives to equip educators with modern teaching techniques, building and rehabilitating schools in interland and coastal communities to close accessibility gaps, enhancing digital learning platforms, and providing greater internet access in schools will continue.
All the grade 6 children across this country had all the textbooks they need. And from then to now, we've built up every year so that everybody from nursery to secondary have the textbooks they need.
The Education Ministry's 2025 to 2030 plan, she added, will be monitored and adopted to ensure that no child is left behind as Guyana continues its rapid growth and transformation. Jada June reporting for HGP Nightly News.
In this developing story, Antonio Day tells us that amid concerns raised by residents of Annandale regarding the prolonged development of their community's recreational ground, works have finally commenced.
Residents of Annandale, East Coast and Marara were deeply concerned about the underdevelopment of the community's cricket ground. After 6 months of no development on the community's facility, works have finally begun after Nightly News spoke to residents in that area, who expressed frustration with the thoughtfulness of the project. Residents reported that many young people in the neighborhood have started smoking psychoactive substances due to the poor condition of the community cricket ground, which is typically the center for sport activities. One source familiar with the project noted that it is budgeted at $140 million, and the contractors hired are purportedly acquaintances of the government. Based on source videos shared with this newscast, workers were seen on site spreading building materials across the ground. The bushes which covered the ground were also cleared. Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport Charles Ramson Jr. has never returned calls to this newscast regarding details of the facility and its completion date. Another resident who preferred anonymity said she was expecting works on the ground to be completed before the September 1, 2025 falls. Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Stay tuned for your regional news.
Good evening and welcome to Wednesday's edition of the Regional News. Brazilian Supreme Court Justice Alexander de Moraes on Tuesday ordered police to tighten security around Jair Bolsonaro's home, including 24-hour patrols, citing increased flight risk ahead of final arguments in the former president's trial. Moraes put Bolsonaro under house arrest in a gated community in Brasilia early this month, after finding the politician had failed to comply with restraining orders meant to stop trial interference. Bolsonaro faces charges of plotting a coup to overturn his 2022 electoral defeat, and final arguments in the case will begin early next month. He has denied the accusations. Police reinforcement is quote-unquote appropriate and necessary as the next step of the trial approaches, Moraes said in his decision. He also pointed to findings in a recent police report as cause for concern that Bolsonaro could try to flee. The police found a draft of a letter from Bolsonaro in 2024 requesting asylum in Argentina and accused him and his son Eduardo of trying to interfere with the trial. Minister of Public Administration and Artificial Intelligence Dominic Smith is rejecting any assertion that artificial intelligence could lead to a new form of colonization in the Caribbean region. The minister responded to recent warnings from Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley regarding the potential misuse of AI in the Caribbean. Smith acknowledged the concerns raised by Mottley, noting that anxiety over AI is common, particularly among small island developing states, SIDS. However, he stressed that technology, including AI, has always played a pivotal role in shaping societies. Despite acknowledging the risk of AI misuse, including the spread of misinformation and the amplification of cultural biases, Smith rejected the notion that AI constitutes to a new form of colonization. Jamaica will use drones donated by Canada to boost its disaster response services, State Information Service (JIS) said, as the Caribbean braces for stronger hurricanes in the coming years, fueled by warmer oceans resulting from climate change. U.S. government forecasters predict an quote-unquote above normal 2025 Atlantic hurricane season, with storms fueled by warmer ocean temperatures and whose development could be boosted by sulfur westerly winds. Despite their small greenhouse gas emissions, small island states are particularly vulnerable to effects of climate change. The Caribbean lies in a region where tropical waves that develop off the West African coast can strengthen into powerful storms. Erin is the only storm of the 2025 so far to reach hurricane status. It was one of the fastest storms on record to hit Category 5 in little over 27 hours, but the storm steered clear of land. The hurricane season typically peaks in September. Last year's Atlantic season was extremely active, with 2 Category 5 storms among 5 major hurricanes. The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration predicts the current season, which lasts through the end of November, will bring 6 to 10 hurricanes. Last year's season saw 11 Atlantic hurricanes. Thank you for watching. I am Tiana Cole.
Several declined position of presiding officer. GECOM says it is not worried. PPPC's presidential candidate desperately begs the electorate for a second chance in 2025 elections. Developmental agenda on the line. Any attempt to disrupt elections will be dealt with swiftly, says Clifton Hicken. And High Court ruling in the case brought by Forward Guyana movement against GECOM set for Friday. Those are our major headlines. For these stories and more, please go to our website. It's www.hgptv.com. I'm Travis Chase. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.